Hello and welcome. I am Roy at Ninjazilla80, and today I will be reviewing the Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse 1987 movie He-Man. And this is a pretty cool figure, and I got some things to say about him. So with that said, let's get started. And now, starting things off with the box, because you know we got to talk about really cool boxes on this channel. Although, I hate to have to get rid of my Masterverse boxes, but I might have to because I'm kind of running out of room at the moment. But anyway, first things first, we can see that I've already taken the figure out of his packaging. And of course, I do have accessories in there. I do have a hand where his blaster would go. But yeah, I have to put that hand somewhere. But anyway, we have the Masters of the Universe 1987 movie title logo. But yeah, spoiler alert, I was not alive in 1987. I was not born until November 27th, 1990. So yeah, I am obviously not an 80s kid. But anyway, we have He-Man, which is the name of the character you're getting inside. And of course, we have the Mattel logo. And of course, we have ages 6 and up, which I'm more than sure a 6-year-old is going to lose almost every accessory you get in this box. And I don't think they're going to be smart enough to know you have to loosen up the figure with like your hair dryer and stuff after you get them out of the box in order to move around those joints. But anyway, we have the Masterverse, which is the figure line that this figure is from. And of course, we have He-Man on the side, which is the name of the character you are getting in this package. And of course, we have a really cool picture of the live-action Dolph Lundgren He-Man right there on the side, looking really cool. That's one of the reasons why I would hate to have to get rid of these boxes, because they just have some really cool art on it, man. And I just, it would be a bummer, but I might have to. But anyway, taking a look at the back of the box, we have a really cool picture of the 1987 live-action He-Man right there. And if you would have the 1987 live-action movie Skeletor, you would basically be able to make like this huge like poster diorama with them, with the Dolph Lundgren He-Man and the Frank Langella Skeletor locked in battle. But unfortunately, I do not have the Frank Langella Skeletor, and I don't know if I'm going to track it down, because I've looked it up on eBay, and yeah, it's double the price of what normal Masterverse figures go for. But I don't know, it depends. If I find it for something that I feel is reasonable, I might grab it. But other than that, I don't think I'm going to be bothering with it. But anyway, we have a bunch of information right here, either about the movie or the figure, written in multiple different languages. But we have different figures you could get in the line. We have Stratos, which I might get sooner or later. We have Roboto. We have Frosta. We have Evil Lyn. That's from Revelation, with the sort of the bat suit, sort of. And we have the Frank Langella Skeletor right there, which I do not have. Yeah, I don't have any of these figures that they're showing on the back. And actually, this is the first time around I've noticed that they're not showing you a figure in the promotional pictures that you're getting in the package. But anyway, we have the Mattel logo, empowering the next generation through play. And a bunch of more jibber jabber right there. Yeah, I'm not gonna go over all that stuff. And a bunch of other uninteresting information on the bottom of the box. But anyway, that pretty much concludes it for the box. Now on to the figure. And now here we have the Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse 1987 live action movie He-Man right here before us in all of his By the Power of Grayskull 1987 live action movie glory, of course. I know first thing a lot of you guys are going to say, yeah, the head sculpt does not look all that much like Dolph Lundgren, but let me tell you something. I can care less. The head sculpt on mine does not bother me. I know you can get that third-party head sculpt from ramen toy, ramen noodle, whatever you want to call it. I'm most likely not going to bother with that because the basic head sculpt that you get out of the box, to me, is fine. And that's just my personal opinion. Whether you agree with it or not, that's just how I feel about it. So yeah, getting that out of the way first and foremost. But anyway, I think this is really uniquely designed He-Man. Now, in all honesty, I don't ever remember watching the 1987 live-action Masters of the Universe movie from start to finish. If I do come across it, I will most likely will, just to really, get familiar with it. But other than that, like I said in my unboxing, I think this is a pretty cool, unique design for He-Man, and that's why I bought it, because I just like the overall looks and aesthetics of this one. I really like how the harness looks very realistic, and if you bring him up closer, you notice, and he does have a matching design in his belt. Instead of his regular cross symbol he would have in the middle of his chest, or the He-Man symbol, if you look closely, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't remember watching this movie too much. That looks more like a dragon crest, especially right here. That looks like to me that looks like a dragon symbol, sort of. A little reminiscent to the Mortal Kombat dragon symbol, but not exactly, because that's what this really looks like to me. Like, if I really look at it, it just looks like a reverse Mortal Kombat dragon symbol. But, other than that, I think it's really cool. Another similarity I would have to say especially the Mortal Kombat 2 ninjas, his leg guards here, because he has like these armored like leg guards on his boots, like his shin and knee guards, like they're armored, and he have these like cool like engraving designs on them. Looks really cool. Kind of almost like remind me of like the dwarven like armor and stuff from Skyrim. That's what that kind of makes me think of a little bit. And we have his dagger right there in his boot, and we have his other dagger right there on his sidearm, and of course we have his blaster. And yeah, this He-Man is kind of like, I would say he's wearing sort of like leather tights instead of his normal loincloth, but it still looks cool. It doesn't bother me. As long as he's wearing something for decency. But anyway, that's another subject for another day. Like I said, I think it's all the detail with this one is cool. I like how this he has wearing this more like it's like this bronze armor bracer right here, and you see these unique engraving designs on him as well. Now his other hand, not wearing anything. We do see some really cool armbands right here with some like gold designs on them as well, or like bronze maybe. We have another matching one on the other side, so you kind of got these like Ultimate Warrior like armbands sort of. And also he is wearing some shoulder guards or podrons, whatever you want to call them, I call them shoulder guards, but it's pretty much the same thing, just two different names for it. And you also see these are really cool engraving designs on them as well. Looking really cool, really nice. I really like it. I think this He-Man is overall unique. And of course, we do have the holster for his blaster, and that also has some really cool, unique designs on it as well. It's kind of like this, like tannish brown, and it has like these silver lining designs on it, looking really cool. This is an overall nice looking figure, I'm not gonna lie. And of course, how can I forget his very bright ruby red cape that he's also wearing. And we also have some gold embroidery right there with some alternating pattern designs. And if I bring it up closely, yes, that design right there, I recognize all too well. That right there is a fleur-de-lis. I recognize that from the New Orleans Saints, even though I am not a football fan and I honestly could care less who wins the Super Bowl. I know that might upset some football fans, but yeah, I'm just being completely honest. I do not care about football at all whatsoever. I'm just saying I know that symbol, that I know that design, and that's easily recognizable. Especially a person like me who's way down south in Louisiana all their life. Although I don't consider myself Cajun by any means. But anyway, getting back to this figure, as far as articulation wise, the head can look up, we can look down, we can look left, we can look right, and I'm going to try, but yeah, you can, but you got to be careful. So yeah, a full 360 cranium revolvus is possible, but do be careful. And also, let's bring it up so we can get a good look at that face of his. Now, like I said, I know a lot of you guys are going to say this doesn't look all that much like the face of Dolph Lundgren. Rather not. Like they got the license or the permission to make it look like him. It really doesn't concern me. I just love and appreciate this figure for what it is. You know, nonetheless, just like straight up. I don't think I really need to, change out anything too much. But anyway, getting back to articulation, we do have a really good hinges in those shoulders, so you can bring those arms out into a T-pose like so, and then bring them back down. And of course, we can swivel those arms all the way around, a full 360, and back the opposite way, but do be careful of those shoulder guards. So the same is true with the other arm, and of course the opposite way. Now, and you could also, we also have a bicep swivel, so we can swivel those biceps all the way around a full 360, and we can bend those elbows all the way in and then back out. So we do have symmetrical articulation with both arms, and we can swivel those wrists a full 360 all the way around and rock them forward and back. And of course, we do have a vertical hinge in this hand. So yeah, I might have to work it a little bit, so give me a second. So yeah, this one feels kind of stuck. So yeah, that one was stuck. So yeah, I had to work it a little bit. So let's put his hand back in. So yeah, now it's better. I still had some stuck pain in there I had to break apart, but I got it now. But anyway, we can, rock the tart a little bit, but As you can see, it's kind of hindered by his harness armor. So, I'm not even going to bother with that because, yeah, I know this is an older release Masterverse figure. And I know what's going to happen if I try to rotate that top torso a full 360. And it is not going to be anything fun. Because, yeah, if you try to force a full 360 rotation, especially with the older release Masterverse figures that has like a single peg joint holding together the upper and lower torso, you will snap it clean in two. Happened to me with my 40th anniversary Masterverse He-Man, and I basically paid out of my own bank account to replace it. So, just letting you guys know. Even though like it's not extremely expensive, but yeah, you don't want to be unintentionally breaking your figures. But anyway, moving right along down to the lower body portion of the figure, getting into leg articulation. Now, one thing I have to point out with leg articulation, especially with the left leg, yeah, I'm talking about his left, although that would be my right and your right. It is, if we want to do the splits, just take note that it is hindered by the blaster holster. So if we want to do the full-on RVD splits, yeah, that's not happening with this one. So that's just something that you just have to keep in mind. I'm not taking points off for that or anything because of the blaster, because when you do have things like that, that is to be expected. But I'm just, letting you guys know ahead of time. But anyway, other than that, we can kick forward about that much. Back a little bit. Same is true with the other leg. We can kick forward about that much. Back about that much. We do have a full 360 rotation at the top of the hip, so we can swivel those hips of his, or his thighs, whatever you want to call it. Hip thighs, hippie thighs, whatever word you want to use to describe it. It is what it is. But anyway, we do have a double drain at the knee, so we can bend those knees all the way back, like so. As you can see. And we can bring them forward again. Whew. And of course, we can only kick out to the side with his right leg. So that's about as much as we're going to split like this. So we can only bring his right leg out all the way. We cannot do it with his left because, yeah, blaster. Now, if that blaster was, the blaster holster, if it was removable, you probably could. But the pain in the butt thing would be, it would just pop off easily. And although it might be, because if I take it out, I do see this clip right here, like this button thing right here, but I don't know if that's meant to be removable. So I don't think I'm going to fool with that, because I don't want to end up ruining my figure. So I'm just going to leave it as is. But anyway, getting back to leg articulation, we do have a swivel in the boot, so we can swivel those boots all the way around a full 360 if we want to. And yeah, I'm starting to talk in a different, sort of like Irish, Scottish accent, even though I'm not Irish or Scottish. But anyway, getting back to leg articulation, we do have good hinges in the ankles, so we can bend those ankles all the way down and then back again, like so. Looking cool. And we do have some really sharp looking boots on this He-Man. They're really nice. And of course, we can also rotate those feet of his all the way around on a swivel if we choose to as well. And yeah, that pretty much concludes it for articulation with this figure. So that pretty much does it for articulation. Now, as far as accessories with this figure, He is holding some of his accessories because you can technically store his weapons on him. We do have the Sword of Power, or the 1987 Sword of Power. It's in like this half scabbard, and it goes in this notch in the back of his harness, or harness armor, like I like to call it, or like this half sheath thing. The only thing, though, I find, like the only difficulty I find, when you pull his sword out and you want to put it back in, sometimes this could get a bit fiddly and out of line. I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about, because if I want to put his sword back, and let me raise this cape up, like sometimes like this could like get out of line, and you could end up like that, and then you gotta keep working it until you get it in place. So that can be quite an annoyance for some people, but I still think this is a pretty cool figure. And of course, let's get his sword out. Before I forget to go over detail with the sword. Now, the 1987 live action Sword of Power, to me, looks really unique. It does have a realistic vibe to it. It almost kind of reminds me of Xena sword, Xena Warrior Princess. It looks a little similar to that, especially in like the handle and in the guard of the sword. Except it has like these other like bronze guards going, up the blade, and just like sort of like hugging onto the blade, and it just goes into the tip up there. The tip of the sword doesn't look as pointy as it does on the animated Sword of Power, but it still looks pretty cool. And of course, to put it in his hand, all I have to do is just slip it in like so, and just work it like that, and then there we have it with the live action Sword of Power. Of course, we have his blaster in his holster, so he could put that in his hands. So He-Man could pretend to be Han Solo if he wants to. So we do have that. Or we can pretend he's trying to be Luke Skywalker with a lightsaber and a blaster. Or like Cal Kestis from Star Wars Jedi Survivor, when you get the fighting style with the blaster and the lightsaber. So we can kind of replicate that, except with the Sword of Power and a blaster. But it still looks pretty cool. The only thing he's missing, because he has the blaster, is a trigger finger hand. And I think that would have worked a little better, would have made a little bit more sense. But, I mean, I guess if you're doing stop motion, you're just going to have to improvise and just use the blaster without having a finger on a trigger. So, anyway, let's put his blaster back in his holster. Yeah, let go of it. You're Dolph Lundgren. You're not Harrison Ford. You're not Han Solo. So, yeah, we're gonna have to put that blaster up. So, alright. Let's put the blaster back in his hand, in his holster, and let's put this Sword of Power back, and see, like I said, as you're witnessing, what I said about this, this scabbard or sheath right here, or like half sheath scabbard, whatever you want to call it right there, being a bit fiddly. I'm not lying. But anyway, let's get his daggers out. So take his daggers out so we can put his daggers in. So I like to put his daggers in backhanded, because to me, I don't know, daggers are always more better as a backhanded weapon, if you ask me. So yeah, now I got it. So the dagger with like the rounded guard on it, you kind of, I notice I kind of said, if you want to do backhanded, you kind of just gotta press it into his hand instead of trying to work it in from the bottom. So that's the easiest way. So there we have a He-Man with some backhanded daggers. So, yep, we can do that. So he can sort of like fight like the original Mighty Morphin Yellow Ranger, or go all Raphael on his enemies, I guess. Speaking of Raphael, I'm kind of sort of thinking of picking up some of those Turtles of Grayskull figures. And I think they're the Origins line, because I'm starting to think about grabbing some of those now, just to see how they compare. But anyway, let's get his daggers back in their holsters. So anyway, I do like how you can swivel the holsters, this holster on his belt, because it just makes it more easy and convenient to put his daggers back. But anyway, let's put that back in his holster. And of course, we do have some interchangeable hands, so we do get some handy accessories with this one. We have the open palm hand, the knife edge hand, or what I like to call the AKA the you can't see me hand. And of course, we have a closed fist hand, which I am not changing out, because to me, closed fist hand on your He-Man's figures, to me, just don't make any sense. Especially when he has to hold the Sword of Power and other weapons. So why would you want, closed fist hands on your He-Man, where you just can't hold any weapons? To me, that just makes no sense. But anyway, we also have a more classic looking interchangeable head. So if you want to have him look more like the classic He-Man, let me take the Sword of Power out. I do have to be careful with this one, because the head on this one is a little tight, and yeah, I did have to use some muscle grease to get that off. And this one is giving me trouble. Okay, I'm not going to keep forcing it, but it's stuck now. I think I need to heat that one up, but I'm not going to... Alright, that one went back on easier, but anyway, yeah, I'm not going to keep risking it, just to, show you how the classic head looks on them, just for like 2 seconds. But I'm just going to put this one back on anyway, which I probably should have just kept this one on anyway, because to me, this figure just looks better with the base head out of the box. And this one I do need to heat up some more. But anyway, because I don't want, the reason why I decided just to not do it, because I don't want to break the ball joint on the neck. But anyway, if I have to give this figure a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability, I have to give this figure a fair but square, well-deserved 9 out of 10. Why? I think detail is really good, articulation is really good. The only thing I'm taking points off for is the design flaw in the top torso. Like I said, I think there should have been a ball joint the whole time. But for some reason, Mattel just didn't think of that from the very beginning. But they did correct that issue down the line, so I'm glad they did. But anyway, guys, that pretty much concludes it for this review. As always, thank you guys all so much for watching. Your viewership is much appreciated. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And to wrap it all up, stay safe, take care, stay positive, stay powered up. God bless, and peace out.